Mr. Speaker, let me repeat it in English so she and other members understand from her party.
Is Mark Carney breaking the law? Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got a story here of Mark Carney getting in the way of a deal of a merger of two big companies and trying to force them to move their headquarters to Canada. Mark Carney so desperate for a win, his plan of intentionally not doing a deal with Donald Trump so he can use Donald Trump for the next election is hurting him because he doesn't have a deal and things are getting awful in Canada. So now he's twisting this company's arm. Is this legal? On top of that, we've got crime, chaos, illegal truck drivers, the immigration system is absolutely broken. We've got multiple different examples here. Let's jump into this. Got this one here from CTV. Elizabeth May asking to stay on as Green leader after announcing plans to step aside. At this point, it doesn't matter. The Green Party is Elizabeth May. She's 70-something years old. When she finally retires, the Green Party will cease to exist. Keeping this going, we got this one from Juno News. Canada's Ethics Commissioner has ruled that no conflict of interest regarding Public Safety Minister Gary Anasanderi's national security duties. Oh, really? This is the guy who quite literally helped terror lords enter Canada. No conflict of interest, no problem at all. This guy doesn't know what a pew-pew license is, yet he's in charge of them. Also, there was a clip of Mark Carney when he was on that the Ryan Jasperson podcast, where he was asked about the pew-pew laws, and Carney said it's voluntary. And now everyone's confused because this wasn't a voluntary program. They're coming to take them back, the pew-pew buyback program. Now Carney saying they're voluntary. He was asked on the street, someone asked him, he said they're voluntary too. There's a lot of mixed messages going on. Are they flip-flopping on this policy as well? We've got quite the interesting story here. Carney told Anglo-American to move headquarters to Canada for tech deal approval, sources say. To set this up, we've got two companies, Anglo and Teck, doing a deal here. London-based Anglo-American PLC has agreed to buy Vancouver-based Teck Resources in a deal that would create a new company worth $50 billion and the world's fifth largest copper producer. The structure of the all-stock, no-premium deal means Canadian investors could defer billions of dollars in capital gains taxes for up to 15 years. So apparently Mark Carney's trying to twist the CEO's arm here to move the headquarters, which is rich coming from Mark Carney considering he moved Brookfield's headquarters from Toronto to New York. Ottawa must approve the deal for it to proceed. And basically Mark Carney saying, move your headquarters or I'm not going to approve the deal. Given that Carney won the election on a pledge to protect domestic economy, the face of US allowing the sale of Canadian mining giant to a foreign multinational could be seen as a failure. Teck declined to comment on Mr. Carney's conditions for the Anglo deal, but Doug Brown, Teck's Vice President of Communications and Government Affairs, wrote in an email to the Globe that it is unprecedented for a major multinational mining company to move its headquarters to Canada in this fashion. With Carney insisting that the potential suitor for Teck move its headquarters to Canada, the chances of other bidders surfacing appears to be low. The other potential suitors for Teck, including BHP Group Inc., Glencore, Vale SA, and Freeport McMoran, all have headquarters outside of Canada. Mark Carney is so desperate for a win here. He's trying to force these companies to move their headquarters. This might not end well. As we jump out of this deal here for a second, take a look at this. So Carney's getting hammered on all fronts here. Carney argues his government has fiscal anchors after PBO raises concerns. So the interim PBO is basically blasting Mark Carney here. He desperately needs a win. Budget Watchdog sees considerable concern over government's lack of fiscal anchors.
What the Liberals mean when they say they're going to separate an operating budget from a capital budget, like what changes on the books when they do that?
So to answer your last question first, the bottom line of the government will not change. So the international public sector standards that everyone uses to measure the deficit and levels of debt, that will not change. And the first reason that won't change is those are the accounting standards. The second reason is the ratings agencies won't let you change it. Like that's the first thing they're going to go to. And if they have a sniff that somehow there's a change in presentation, you bet your boots that we're going to be paying more for debt pretty quickly.
So Carney getting squeezed on all sides here. He's looking for a win. The takeover by Teck by Anglo must be approved by the Industry Minister Melanie Joly before it can close. She will scrutinize the transaction for national security concerns, and it must make economic sense for Canada under the net benefit test. The timeline to conduct such reviews typically takes about 8 months. While Anglo has promised to move its headquarters to Canada, it will remain a British company domicile in London. In addition, the company's primary stock will be listed in London. This is a mess here. So Anglo taking over Teck, Carney trying to twist twist the arm here. Looking into this more, there's people saying that Carney could get sued. The government could get sued for doing this because you're not allowed to do this against the law. It's pushing his boundaries of his power. This looks like a very desperate move by Mark Carney to get some sort of win. Technically, under the ICA, the Investment Canada Act, Carney can do this, but then what is this going to do? It's going to signal to other companies, if you open in Canada and down the road you want to sell your company to another company outside of Canada, you might not be able to do that. It's not going to spur on investment coming to Canada. It's another bonehead move by Mark Carney. So jumping back over to the interim parliamentary budget officer.
This budget, I know you're well aware of that. We haven't had a budget since April of 2024. How important is this one?
I am at great pains not to engage in hyperbole. So this budget ends up being important.
You're definitely not a politician then, yeah.
No, well, this is easily one of the most important, it's one of the most important budgets that we've probably seen, I've probably seen since I started working in the Department of Finance in 1998. So we have a budget where it needs to address a fundamental assumption in our economy and how our economy worked, and that was we are tied at the hip with the United States, and that's gone. So all of our historical economic modeling that was based upon the idea that don't worry, as the U.S. recovers and grows again in 2, 3, 4 years, we have those connections and those supply chains, and things will start to take off for us. That's gone out the window at this point. The other aspect, and something we're really interested in and we're watching carefully, is the government's indicated that they're planning on changing the overall presentation of the budget. So going from what people are kind of used to, so a bottom line, deficit, surplus, how much money you're borrowing, that type of thing, to having those numbers and then also presenting things a little bit differently. The government hasn't clearly indicated what they have planned at this point, but that's something we're watching carefully.
They haven't communicated that to your office yet? Because I know a number of months ago, your predecessor also said, like, I don't know what the difference will be yet. Like, I don't know how they're going to define it.
Yeah, but they've consulted with us on some ideas, and at this point, we're still waiting until Budget 2025. The Parliamentary Budget Office, the organization that supports parliamentarians of all stripes, regardless of whether they're good with calculators or not, we need to make sure that they're supported in understanding what the government's actually proposing.
Do you anticipate you'll know what the difference is prior to the tabling of the budget, or do you think you'll find out with the rest of us?
If history is any a leading indicator, probably at the exact same
time. So we're going to put something out that people may not understand. So it's my simpleton's brain's fault for not understanding, not that it will be intentional obfuscation. Yeah, this is a dirty tactic by Mark Carney. Mr. Brilliant Banker is going to be twisting the system here so people can't figure out what he's doing. In other news, we've got a convicted Ontario murderer wins appeal for early parole eligibility because ending someone's life isn't that big of a deal in Canada. Elbows up. This is so good. So look in the comments here. We've got Rage Bait headline. I'll be honest, I was surprised when I read this part. If granted parole, Spencer faces deportation to Jamaica. That's not the point. The point is that this guy can end somebody and then get out of jail. That is the point. This guy should be in a dark pit for all eternity. So what happened with this guy? There was a street candy deal that had gone wrong, and he ended a 21-year-old. Next up, we got conservative Michelle Rempel-Garner absolutely destroying the immigration minister and exposing why our system is so bad, the refugee system.
The question is to the immigration minister. There are a staggering 300,000 people in Canada with pending asylum claims. Many of these will be bogus. And new data we obtained today shows the profound cost of this failure. Since 2016, the Liberals have increased the cost of the interim federal health program, which includes support for benefits for people who have likely made bogus claims, by nearly 1,200%. This includes massive spending on benefits Canadians aren't eligible for. Can the minister explain why?
So people coming in from India saying that they're claiming refugee status, and it takes them years to get to their claim, so they get to hang out here for years in the process, and they get benefits that Canadians don't get. This is a dumb system.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the question. We just ran a campaign on restoring sustainability to our immigration system to ease pressure on housing and social services, something the Conservatives also voted for. Our immigration levels plan reduced targets for permanent and resident. That plan is working. New student and temporary worker admissions are down more than 60%. Asylum claims are down 1/3, and new permanent residents will be down 20% at the end of the year. With Bill C2, we can even do more, and I urge parliamentarians to support it.
This system is not working. It's reasonable to pay taxes for things that we need, roads, infrastructure, etc. But when you see it getting flushed over to people who are showing up, abusing our refugee system, hanging out for years and getting benefits, that's a load of crap. Meanwhile, we've got a truck driving in the wrong lane. Who's handing out the licenses here? This isn't England. Still can't figure it out. This happened to me once, actually, in Vancouver, near IKEA. The lady was driving towards me, and I quickly pulled over because I didn't want to run head on to her. She didn't slow down. Everyone started pulling over because they're like, what the heck's going on? Fresh off the boat, yep. British Empire. They drive on the left side of the road in India. Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
The minister just said that the Liberals' immigration plan is, quote, working. The Liberals are spending at least $800 million this year because they allowed the asylum backlog to mushroom to nearly 300,000 people. And these are people, many of whom have bogus claims, and they allow them to stay in the country for years and years. That's why they had to increase that program to that level. This strains healthcare, it strains housing, and it makes a mockery of our once compassionate asylum system. Is this really what the minister defines as an immigration system that's working? Come on.
It's working for them. It's working for their agenda. It's not working for Canada. So she goes into French here, but they're bringing in a bunch of people. They're replacing Canadians. They're increasing the usage of maid. The Liberals have an agenda here. They don't like Canadians. They want to bring in new Canadians to replace us. In the meantime, they're going to create a big housing crisis. Costs have gone through the roof. And don't worry, Brookfield has a bunch of businesses invested in all that stuff to make money off the back end. Justin Trudeau owns a real estate development company. This is working just as they have intended it to be. But this one here, Liberal government is spending $500,000 to boost diversity in trucking industry. No thanks. We've already seen the videos of South Asians coming over, getting fake trucking licenses and ending people's lives because they keep doing U-turns. I don't think we need any more of that crap in Canada. This is rampant in America. It's rampant in Canada. There's a bunch of these videos. I don't show them on the channel here, but it's happening a lot, which means more car accidents are coming. Be careful, everyone. Next up, we've got a video here showing how newcomers are cheating on their truck driving tests to pass them. Turns out they can't even read the screen. Someone else is doing it for them.
So how does FHP say this cheating scheme works?
We were shocked to see the extent that they were going to.
Brian calls it organized fraud. According to investigators, the men went in here, the DMV on Roosevelt, to take the CDL test to drive a truck. But they are rigged up with equipment to get their answers.
And you see the actual apparatus that he's wearing. He has a chest harness that actually holds the phone.
A red iPhone in the harness. And under a T-shirt, you see the hole right there? So he comes in this T-shirt with a hole cut in it.
Yes.
Now watch this. In a video we've obtained from the DMV, this man opening his shirt. Brian says it's kind of like FaceTime. The men sit in front of a computer and wiggle around.
Their body language is abnormal.
Until somebody outside in a parking lot can read the test questions on the screen in English and then tell them through this earpiece in their language. Employees at the DMV got suspicious.
Most people don't start to disrobe when they take a DL test.
They're unbuttoning their shirts.
They are, indeed.
So the 5 men arrested so far, that's just the tip of the iceberg?
It is.
This is happening all over the country. Maybe from Jacksonville, we can make a difference.
Put them in jail. Put all of them in jail. Glad I had to take a $10,000 course to get my class 1 and now it's a joke. I mean, that's what's happening here. You have these guys driving trucks now who are not qualified to do it and they're ending people's lives.
86,000 Canadians have lost their jobs since taking office. Youth unemployment is over 14%, and Canada now has the second highest unemployment in the G7. Classic, another Liberal bait and switch. So, Mr. Speaker, I have one simple question. Does the Prime Minister have the guts to admit that his so-called jobs plan has completely failed Canadians? Yeah.
Canada had the best immigration system in the world. It was revered around the world as the best. And that's throughout both Liberal and Conservative governments throughout the years. And the Liberals, the Trudeau, Carney, recent Liberals have destroyed that system. Are we getting the best and brightest coming in anymore? Probably not many. We're definitely getting the goblins, goons, and gangsters. We need to get back to the system where we welcome the doctors and engineers from around the world to come to Canada to help build our GDP and prosperity, and reject the people trying to attack the doctors and engineers.
Prime Minister promised Canadians that he would build 500,000 homes a year, doubling housing starts. Instead, housing starts are down 16%, and his $13 billion brand new bureaucracy might someday maybe build a grand total of 4,000 homes. That's 1.6% of what we already build. It's a rounding error. Is this really the government's housing strategy, to hope that Canadians don't know basic math?
The Conservatives seem a little confused, so let me help here. First, the projects that we announced were just the start. Good idea. Second,
listen to Dominic LeBlanc here. What is he filling in for Chrystia Freeland, trying to talk over the mic next to him? What's wrong with these guys? Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
They can support up to 45,000 new affordable homes. Third, we have many, many more projects on the way. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time the Conservatives have gotten the numbers wrong, so I'd like to invite them to take a moment, rework their talking points, and we have no intention of slowing down. It's time to build.
Hear, hear. So I already debunked this. I mentioned exactly this. 45,000 homes. You've got 4,000 people coming in per day. Even if half those people are going back to South Asia, all the houses, if they were built, say, all this year, 45,000 extra houses on top of the 250,000 per year that we build, it would be eaten up by 20 days of their immigration plan. 20 days. That puts us in a deficit of 345 days worth of homes, even with their new plan. If we do the math, this is just over 1.5 million people that they're bringing in, and say half those people go home, so 750,000 people. Canada only builds 250,000 per year. That means we have triple the amount of people coming in that houses that we're building. So even if they add 45,000 new houses, that doesn't make a dent. And if all those people stay, 1.5 million, the ratio works out to be there's 5.2 people coming in for every one house that's being built. Even if you say, but not every person will have their individual house, you have on average 2 or 3 people per house, it doesn't matter. Even take that number by half, say half the people stay, 750,000, and you cut that in half, it's still 333,000 extra people per year. The math does not add up. He wants to do math. I just did the math for you. This is a grift. These guys are fleecing Canadians.
Liberal land do you solve for the housing crisis by blowing $13 billion on a fourth bureaucracy after the first 3 already failed? Those numbers are right. And who's leading this master plan? The former mayor of Vancouver. He doubled rent and jacked up home prices by 150%. And just to make the circus more complete, he handed a key role to his buddy from Toronto, the same one who slapped a 700% hike on development charges and oversaw home prices double when she was there. Is this really the definition of success for that minister?
Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, once again, we hear the Conservatives trashing local officials, government. That's right. Unbelievable.
Well, the mayor of Montreal, the mayor of Cpac.
They're talking about mayors, they're talking about councillors, they're talking about public servants, rather than looking at themselves. And many of us who have served at the local level have dealt with Conservative governments who did nothing for affordable housing, who did nothing to...
These guys just stoking more of this crap. We always see it, the leftist media pushing that Conservatives are so extreme, they're extremists, blah, blah, blah. They mentioned the mayor of Montreal. They kicked out Sean Foyt for giving a sermon and playing some songs in a church. The mayor of Montreal should be fired.
Improve affordability for Canadians. We're taking action and working with our partners at the local level.
So what I was just ranting about, Michelle Rempel-Garner brought up here.
Mr. Speaker, the question's to the immigration minister. New housing completions are at record lows, but the Liberals are welcoming unprecedented numbers of people under every immigration stream. On top of this, there are potentially millions of people who have expiring visas, and the Liberals don't even know if they will leave. Why is the immigration minister letting in people faster than they're building homes to house people who are already here in Canada?
Our action is working.
What is this? She's replying in French. They don't want the English soundbite to go out.
First quarter of 2025, Canada experienced the lowest demographic growth, not counting the pandemic, since World War II. And after implementing our new plan on immigration levels, that will decrease the number of permanent residents and temporary foreign workers. Our goals are clear. We want to make our system viable and attract the best possible talent. Thank you.
So the minister claims, she just claimed that there's no problem, that everything's okay. So she's spreading misinformation because the Parliamentary Budget Officer's report says that the Liberals' current immigration plan, the one that she just said is working, leaves a massive housing gap because the minister is still setting levels way too high. If Canada's to be a place where everyone can succeed, we need to ensure that everybody has a place to live and call home. So why is the minister spreading misinformation while still welcoming unsustainable numbers of people to Canada when Canada's in the middle of a housing crisis?
Honourable Minister of
Mr. Speaker, let me repeat it in English so she and other members understand from her party.
Ooh, easy there, Napoleon. Just when you thought Trudeau's smugness was gone, maybe he gave them a crash course on how to be an arrogant jerk.
In the first quarter of 2025, Canada recorded the smallest non-pandemic population gain since government started to keep records. We're following through on our immigration plan. Our plan is clear to bring sustainability to our system, attract best talent. Asylum claims are down by a third, and rates will come down to 1100.
She's just going on rambling. Nobody's listening. Nobody's paying attention because we all know it's lies. This is interesting. So a whole bunch of back and forth happened, and then they go back to Michelle Rempel-Garner, who has to put in her request to speak, and it goes into a queue, and she's demanding an apology from her now.
No, we're at a time where I think that we need to bring some decorum to this place. And what the minister said, no, in all seriousness, what the minister said undermined the seriousness of the debate. It made light, and to my Bloc colleague's point, she didn't do her job as a minister there. So I'd like an apology too.
L'honorable député.
That's it. Let's cut off that feed.